Here's a truth nobody says out loud. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet spend most of their time alone. And no, it's not because they're broken, not because they're antisocial, not because they can't fit in. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand why some people protect their solitude like it's oxygen, and why that choice can either build their future or quietly destroy it. Because how you relate to being alone determines your focus, your discipline, your emotional stability, and ultimately, your direction in life. Alone time can create clarity, or it can become a hiding place. The difference is psychological. Let's simplify this. Your brain runs on two main systems: dopamine, the reward chemical, and cortisol, the stress signal. Social interaction gives dopamine, but it also brings judgment, comparison, pressure. For some people, the brain learns something powerful. Alone equals safe. Alone equals predictable. Alone equals less emotional chaos. That's not weakness. That's conditioning. And once that association forms, your identity slowly adapts around it. This is where everything starts. Most people who prefer being alone aren't avoiding people. They're avoiding emotional unpredictability. Think about the student who used to speak up in class, got laughed at once, and never volunteered again. The brain doesn't forget emotional pain. The amygdala, your threat detector, marks social embarrassment as danger. So it says, let's reduce exposure. Being alone lowers emotional risk. Action step. Ask yourself, am I choosing solitude for growth or for protection? That answer changes everything. But here's the dangerous part. Some people aren't antisocial. They're overstimulated. Highly perceptive minds process more detail, tone shifts, facial expressions, subtle judgments. That means social settings cost more energy. This is linked to higher baseline cortical arousal. Your brain already runs louder. So alone time feels like recharging, not isolation. Recovery. Schedule solitude intentionally, not endlessly. Recovery time with boundaries prevents isolation from turning into avoidance. And this leads to something deeper. After years of choosing solitude, something happens. It becomes your identity. I'm just a loner. I work better alone. I don't need anyone. Careful. Identity-based behavior is powerful. When you label yourself, your brain filters evidence to protect that identity. It's called confirmation bias. You start unconsciously rejecting connection just to stay consistent with who you believe you are. Truth bomb. You don't hate people. You hate vulnerability. And that's human. But here's where most people never look. Being alone gives control. You control your time, your environment, your mood. No unexpected texts, no drama, no social comparison. Your brain loves predictability. Predictability lowers cortisol. But growth requires friction. Without occasional social discomfort, confidence muscles don't develop. Small exposure, one intentional conversation a day, low stakes, no pressure. Confidence isn't born in isolation. It's trained. But wait, let's clear something up. Here's the myth. If I prefer being alone, I must be introverted. Not always. Introversion means you recharge alone. Avoidance means you're escaping discomfort. Big difference. If solitude energizes you, healthy. If solitude reduces anxiety, temporary relief. Your brain rewards relief. That's a dopamine loop. Avoid discomfort. Then feel better. Then repeat. But short-term relief builds long-term limitation. So the question isn't, do I like being alone? The question is, am I hiding? This is where the real psychology kicks in. Let me break this down simply. Imagine your brain like a volume dial. Social media equals loud dopamine spikes. Group validation equals quick dopamine hits. Alone, productivity equals slow, steady dopamine. People who prefer being alone often shift toward slower dopamine sources: reading, creating, planning, thinking. It's delayed reward, and delayed reward builds discipline. This is why some of the most focused individuals guard their solitude. Their brain adapts to deeper rewards. But here's the catch. If alone time turns into scrolling in silence, you're not building depth. You're numbing. See the difference? Many people withdraw socially because comparison exhausts them. Friends earning more, looking better, moving faster in life. Your brain constantly evaluates status. It's evolutionary. When comparison hurts, isolation reduces exposure. Short-term comfort, long-term stagnation. Fix. Compete with your past self. Track progress privately. Isolation becomes powerful when it's used for self-mastery, not self-escape. And now, we reach something important. Some people learned early, no one is coming. So they built themselves, alone. They became their own support system. That creates resilience. But it can also create hyper-independence, where asking for help feels like weakness. Truth bomb. Strength isn't needing no one. Strength is choosing wisely who to let in. And that decision requires self-awareness. If you prefer being alone, you're not weird, you're not cold, you're not broken. Sometimes solitude is intelligence. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's healing. The goal isn't to force yourself into crowds. The goal is to make sure your solitude builds you, not shrinks you. Now let's make this practical. Structured solitude. Schedule alone time for creation, learning, or thinking. No passive scrolling. Your brain associates solitude with growth instead of escape. That rewires identity. Social reps. One small interaction daily. A question, a compliment, a short conversation. Exposure therapy reduces social threat signals in the amygdala. Confidence becomes normal. Identity rewrite. Stop saying, I'm a loner. Say, I value depth. I protect my focus. Language reshapes self-concept. Self-concept reshapes behavior. Discomfort training. Put yourself in mildly uncomfortable social situations weekly. Gym class, study group, networking event. Your nervous system adapts. Discomfort shrinks. Growth expands. Here's the core psychological truth. People who prefer being alone aren't antisocial. They're anti-chaos. They crave depth over noise, control over unpredictability, meaning over shallow stimulation. But solitude is a tool. Used consciously, it creates mastery. Used unconsciously, it becomes a cage. The difference is intention. So here's my question for you. Are you alone because you're building something or because you're avoiding something? Be honest. Because your future depends on that answer. If this hit you, subscribe!
Welcome to AG Exploration. Join us for amazing adventures. Subscribe and hit the bell.
Not for motivation, for psychological clarity. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below, solitude builds me, or I'm ready to step out. Your move